burning down of the Notre Dame Cathedral in France, okay? And so when I was at work yesterday, and when I was on my Google page, I noticed this, right? It was like one of the head newses, okay? So I had clicked on it, and then automatically I knew to see where the Celts came into play, okay? And I had no idea any of this. I just knew that, like I said, when you say divine feminine, you understand that, and we're gonna get into it, that we're literally pulled. You have this magnetic pull within you. The Wheel of Fortune, you know, the Wheel of Fortune card, the direction, and we're gonna get into with the cross too. You know, the cross is like a compass, okay? Down there I said something about the understanding of this compass, this cross compass concept, which reveals the attributes of the true children of God. We are directed with this cross compass magnetism, in a sense, guidance, intuitive pull that we're naturally following and flowing with, okay? Whether you want to say in a frequency sense, it is what it is. I don't want to get too deep into that, but so my pull that has blessed upon me, because I'm part of that 144, and then today, of course, I'm on my phone, so hopefully I can edit this and add this photo, or maybe I'll do it where it's my screen thing for this video. But I went to the doctor's today. I had to go with somebody, and they went to a chiropractor, right? And this chiropractor is really well known within the Chicagoland area. I didn't know who they were until I went there, you know, and they've worked with artists such as John Legend, Mike Bublé, is that his name? Britney Spears. Oh, he had so many people on the wall. I don't even know. A lot of athletes, because he does a lot of athletes. He actually does a lot of people who come into Chicago when they're on their tour, like, book with this guy, okay? So I went into his office today, and all of these pictures and all these things were around, and I went to go pull a book off his shelves while I was waiting there, and right above it there was a shoebox that said 144,000, and then it had a little slash and said 12, okay? No coincidence, okay, right? Clearly it's always connected with the 12 tribes, even though I understand that I'm a part of the tribe, Dan. I don't care what anybody says. That's just what it is. Number 5 connected to Gabriel. Whether we want to say that's Gabriel's tribe, hey, whatever. However that comes together. Anyway, so after all these things that happened to me, I knew when I came home today, I started going deeper into these messages, and it led me completely to, of course, different things than I ever expected. So let's start from the beginning. So yesterday, this is gonna drive me crazy. Yesterday, I was on the Google screen, and I see this, right? And then I look into Notre Dame Cathedral and Celt, the connection between this cathedral and Celt. And it was brought to my attention that Paris is actually named from the Paris Sea Celts. There was Celts who lived, who migrated to Paris, okay? And I guess Julius Caesar was the one to name Paris Paris, and he named it from the Pharisees, I guess, not Pharisees, Paris I, however you pronounce that. So they were there first. This was where they settled, in Paris. And their ground, where this cathedral is built upon, was their sacred ground. And they praised the mother, right? Okay, so, and it says Isis, but then I was also brought to understanding this Magna MATer. If you want to look that up, and then it's connected to Cybele, who's also connected to Venus, who in a sense is connected to Isis. So, I mean, just the universal mother, right? So on this land at this time, this is what they worshipped and what was known. And there was an article that I was reading, like it was one of the first religions always involved the mother, right? And nowadays Christianity teaches that is not correct. Catholic, the worship of the mother is not correct. Actually, it's evil to them, but that's not the truth. What is evil is you taking the mother out when you had no right to do so. That's evil. And because of the false interpretations and the things being taught, these controls, these governmental controls, using religion to dictate the steps of humanity in a sense, this isn't going to be the first time churches of such great, acceptance or such relevance, I should say, are going to be burning and blazing, okay? Because when the mother rises, the true children rise as well. And they come with the fire. They come with the holy fire. With Gabriel, this has been brought up many times this week. So the trumpet is the words we speak through the angels, through our guidance, through the raising of the consciousness, through our cross compass direction that is embedded within us. If you're truly connected to the cross, this is what this means. So we're gonna go to, let me get this article that I'm gonna read really quickly, and I will also post it. There's a couple of them that I was looking at, but I did not know. And so I guess under this cathedral, there is like, I don't know if it's like a museum or some type, but it has like all their remnants and they artifacts that take you back to the Celtic ways when they first came across Paris and this land, okay? So their ways are still on that land, even though the church is there now, and I guess they burnt the statue of the mother. So when Caesar, from what I've done my research on, when Julius Caesar names this Paris, at this time, the Roman Empire builds that's the first time they build a church, and it was the Church of Zeus or Jupiter, which my cat's name is Jupiter because the angels gave me my cat too, and you can't have a cat that does not have a spiritual relevance when they are all spiritual. So my cat's name is Jupiter. If I haven't said that yet, I'm sure he'll jump up here sooner or later, especially when I bust out these tarot cards. He loves them. All right, sorry guys, I'm checking my Gmail. Gotta get this article because it won't let me. It's easier for me to upload from my phone, even though it can get a little irritating when it's easier for me to be pulling up these articles on my phone as well. So I have to do this on my laptop. Of course, I'm not logged into the account. Just give me a second. Then we're gonna go into Thomas, and Jesus, and the correlation between that, as I'm getting. And we're gonna go into Isaiah 57, which was brought into me, as well as Ezekiel 8:14, which speaks upon this Thomas character. And we're going to share with you what was shown to me, okay? As best as I can. Because the burning down of this church is no coincidence. And you are spoken to in Ezekiel about this, in a sense, of you people who cry about shit like this. And God will find no mercy on you if you cry about his wrath. that's coming down. And we're going to show the difference between the true believers, the true known, as it's been depicted to me today, and those who are the believers not known. And you still have a chance to become known if you listen to people saying heavenly things, but you pay too much attention to these earthly things that you're going to get so lost. Oh my goodness, why is this taking so long? Okay. I could have sworn this account should have... I just put this account on here today, so the fact that it's not on here is so crazy to me. It's ridiculous. Oh, here it is. Okay. We're just taking our time. 10:25. Taking our time. All right. So this came from playandtour.com. Okay. So this is basically just like on like the Paris Notre Dame history. Okay. But it was crazy to me what it was saying, because I never knew any of this. I just knew to look into it. That's how Spirit guides. You understand the questions to ask to get the answers, to open up your eyes. All right. The Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. I know, I'm sorry, I'm looking this way. The Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is more than just a church. It is the authentic heart of Paris. No, it's not the authentic heart of the Most High's kingdom. That's why it's burning down. You cannot imagine it without the mythical Quasimodo hanging from the gargoyles or ringing the bells. Okay, so this is where Hunchback of Notre Dame took place, or was taking place. This cathedral has become one of the symbols of Paris and all of France. Although it is not the biggest cathedral in the country, it is one of the best representative of the European Gothic art period. Okay, yeah, the European representation of the European and their false ways that they've implemented in so many of this world. Situated right in the heart of the geographic and historical center of the capital, its facade faces west and looks over the palace of the place Notre Dame, where the precise center of Paris is, marked by a bronze, and if you hear my daughter in the background, I'm sorry. She's crazy. Marked by a bronze star, which is all the center of France. It is the 0 point. Okay, so it is the 0 point, and this is where this cross compass came. Okay, so we are directed by the directions of the Most High, by the heavenly realms, okay, which comes in this wheel of fortune, this form of a compass, this form of this cross compass, right? And the 0 point, that's God's point, that's the Most High's, the 0 point, and which all the distances in France are measured. So in a sense, all the tribes of the 144,000 are measured from this 0 point. Okay, so I just want to touch on that, or the Most High's point. We are extensions of God, of the Most High God. This has been told to me many times. It does not mean we are God, we are the Most High, or we go above the Most High, but we are extensions and reflections of the Most High. So we are one. And to be one does not mean being above. There's a difference. People get that very confused in this world. Religion had a presence here long before Notre Dame. Oh, religion had a presence here long before Notre Dame was built. Of course, it was not the same religion that the cathedral represents today, right? The Celtic tribe of the Parisii, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm assuming I am, was the first to inhabit the current LD site and consecrated the spot on which Notre Dame stands for their spiritual and ritual affairs. Okay, so this was going on long before that church was built, and it will be going on long after the lies of these worldly churches are not destroyed. It was a different word that I was supposed to say. but destroyed and minimized and called out for all their false bullshit and lies. Later, the Romans built a temple in honor of Jupiter, okay? So an early Christian church would be built later in the honor of Saint Etienne. And over this a Roman church. This one lasted until 1163. Okay, so they had this first the temple of Jupiter in honor of Jupiter, and then in honor of the saint. All right, so these temples were still honoring somebody else besides the Most High. This one lasted or the mother. This one lasted until 1163, the year in which Bishop Maurice de Saly decided to build the biggest church in Christianity. Okay, so that's the church that's burned down. Notre Dame was built in a period of great prosperity in Paris, and the first construction coincided with the choice of Paris as capital of France. So there was no economic problems involved in completing this work. Nevertheless, the cathedral was not completed until the 14th century, after various modifications. But time and above all historic events affected and deterred Notre Dame, making diverse restorations necessary. The most important was undertaking after the outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789. Okay, so in 1789, during the French Revolution, this church, the people were trying to destroy this church because they saw the church and the cathedral as a symbol of power and oppression to which the church and the monarchy had subjected the people. And that still goes on today. If you believe that shit is not happening to you today, you are out of your mind. If you truly believe that state and church are separate, you're out of your mind. And this is why Donald Trump is your president, because church and state are not separate. And a lot of people who claim to be Republican are Christian. Truly they are. And they're a joke. You're not supposed to be voting for anybody at this point. So anybody who's voting, you're an idiot, believing that you are a true believer, because you are not. You are not a true believer. If you are voting for these earthly leaders who are here to destroy you. Okay. In fact, Notre Dame was also a great center of power where trials and executions were held. So even at this church, they still did sacrifices. All right, a lot of these people, they when they killed people for justice, it was a way to get away with doing a sacrifice, a human sacrifice, without it looking evil. Many of these Catholics, these Christians, this is what they did. They were still giving up human rituals. They just put it in a different way of perceiving it. In 1801, the government of Napoleon signed an agreement with the Holy See for the church to recover control of Notre Dame. Cleaning work began immediately. So in 1804, Napoleon himself could be crowned emperor in it. Okay, it was the mid-19th century when Notre Dame was reborn, and to a large extent thanks to the work of Victor Hugo, the main representative in France of Romanticism, the cultural movement interested in recovering the medieval past and Gothic art. All right, Okay, so I guess, the publication in 1831 of the book The Hunchback of Notre Dame, with Quasimodo and Esmeralda as leading characters, gave Parisians, who are the same Parisians, these are the Celtics that came there from the east, gave Parisians the desire to recover their abandoned place of worship. So after mobilizing the public in 1845, the restoration of the cathedral began. All right. And I'll upload this so you guys can kind of read it over. There's definitely more. Oh, maybe that's it for that one. Okay. So that was interesting, right? So I was then led Ezekiel. Okay, so Tomas. How did Tomas come up? Oh, Tomas came up because I was led to Ezekiel 8:14 during my research. And I don't know what I put in there. I can't remember what I put in the search bar for Ezekiel 8:14 to pop up. But I was talking about something with the goddesses, probably. I'm not sure. So Ezekiel 8:14. Let me try to get it on here. It's just easier to read it this way. Ha, 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 ha. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can hear her. There's not much I can do about that. Alright, 8:14. She's laughing like a hyena over there. Alright, 8:14. Okay, then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate. So that Ezekiel gets lifted up by the Spirit. Hold on, we gotta go. We'll go just to the 8. Okay, so the beginning of chapter 8, which is brings in Gabriel. Okay, it's talking about he was sitting on I was sitting in my house, and the elders of Judea were sitting before me. The hand of the sovereign Lord came upon me there. I looked, and I saw a figure like that of a man. From what appeared to be his waist down, he was like fire, and from there up, his appearance was as bright as glowing metal. Okay, so that's Gabriel. He stretched out what looked like a hand and took me by the hair of my head. The Spirit lifted me up between earth and heaven, and in visions of God, he took me to Jerusalem to enter the north gate of the inner court, where the idol that provokes jealousy stood. Okay, and so I want to make this clear. In the end days, in the end times, the true children of God will be lifted up between earth and heaven. And this is why I get my spiritual information. And this is why I don't call myself a medium or a psychic. Because I understand that I am a daughter of the Most High God, and I come with gifts because I am from the kingdom. And I don't like the connotation that comes with medium and psychic. I just don't like it. Even though I am that, I don't like it. I also don't like to put titles of that were mere man made up to my gifts. I don't like that. I'm not going to connect mere man mentality and titles to my gifts given to me by the kingdom of the Most High God, because they're not the same and they do not correlate. And yes, that's what I'm going to say right there for that. Where there is a large idol that has made the Lord very jealous. And in this world, Jesus is idolized, whether they believe it or not. And you were told not to do that. So even Jesus told you this. And God did call Ezekiel son of man. So when people go around saying Jesus is the Son of Man and the only Son of Man, that's a bold-faced ass lie, because in the biblical book, Ezekiel is being called the Son of Man as well. And they'll never understand that the 144,000 are also the Son of Man. They're here to show you these things because they have the gift of being in between earth and heaven. And too many people who go to these churches call them evil. Too many people who go to these churches tell them that they are the falsifiers, that they are the ones not from the kingdom and not going to the kingdom. When they say that, the only truth they're speaking is their own. That's why your shit's getting burned down today. And then God led me to see in Ezekiel as well, and I said this, that those crying about this stuff, you will be shown no compassion, because you don't understand between the spiritual realms. You're not given that gift to be between earth and heaven, like the true prophets, like the true chosen, like the true sent. But you have for some reason thinking that you're gonna go sit in these churches, and these churches on here are your place between earth and heaven, and no, they're not. You idol those buildings. You believe that. You don't understand that your body is the temple. So all those things you idolize are going to be destroyed. And if you weep and cry, you are those unknown, and there will be no compassion for you. Just want to make that clear. All right. So then where were we going next? So let's go to Tomas. Okay, so Tomas is said, did I read that? So Gabriel brings him up. He's in the gates now, and right in front of heaven. God shows him, where is this? Ezekiel 8:14. Oh, come on, I keep losing my spot. And this is all, I give this all to the angels and the Most High, because I could not combine scripture to real life situations that are playing out right now if it wasn't for them. And all right. Oh, my nose is itching for some reason. That must be some type of omen. I gotta look that up. 10:41. Why is my nose itching when I'm talking? And why is this in Hebrew right now? I cannot read Hebrew. Although I know that's probably no coincidence that it's in Hebrew right now, but I can't read Hebrew, so we have to go to the English version, please. And here comes Jupiter. I told you he would be up here. How did I know? Hi, Joops. Yeah. Okay, here it goes. There's the whole chapter. This is what I wanted. All right, so Gabriel lifts him up from between earth and heaven, and he gets visions. God had took him to the Jerusalem, which is the probably new earth, right? Kingdom where we are going to live for 1,000 years in peace. To the entrance of the north gate of the inner court, where the idol that provokes God to jealousy stood. All right. And so they're saying that, I guess this is the idol. Then we'll go to, you guys can read all this, but we're going to jump down to 8:12. He said to me, son of man, you have seen what the elders of Israel are doing in the darkness, each at the shrine of his own idol. Okay? Oh, you're still doing this shit. They say, the Lord does not see us. The Lord has forsaken the land. Again, he said, you will not see them doing these things that are even more detestable. You will see them doing things that are even more detestable than this. Okay, so then here comes 14. Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of the Lord, and I saw women sitting there, mourning the god Tomas, who is also the god Damas. You can look him up. And I don't know if he's in a same sense connected to Baal, but I will this article that I have comparing Tomas to Jesus popped up. Got it. So we're going to go over that in a minute. All right. Okay, so so it says, then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house, and I saw women sitting there mourning the god Tomas. He said to me, God said to Ezekiel, do you see this son of man? You will see things that are even more detestable than this. Now, basic human ideology that has been taught is saying that because they're crying for a deity that is not one that should be worshipped, this is why God was kind of sickened by it, right? But they don't understand. This is what, like, the women were crying instead of understanding that all of their needs and wants could absolutely be met if they obeyed the Most High, right? The commandments of the Most High. It wasn't necessarily that they were crying for this God. It was more so that they were wasting their time and their potential and what they were created to do. You understand? They weren't living their own life, being a co-creator within the creator's domain, because they were too busy crying at the loss of something that they didn't, you understand? And this is really what you guys are doing. Like, you're gonna go around crying the loss of all these material objects, these churches. You're gonna cry, instead of being like the prophets, like the 144,000 who are speaking the messages given to them, who are creating using their manifesting abilities, being the co-creators within the creator's domain, because they're no longer in exile and they understand these things. And if you're not going to learn how to do these things, you're not going to be shown compassion. And so in Ezekiel, I was shown that the verse. So now let's go to Ezekiel. I guess 15. All right, let's go back to Ezekiel. Okay. All right. He then brought me to the inner court of the Lord. And then, all right, we're jumping down to, what was this? Okay, so he brings 25 men. So he brought me into the court of the house of the Lord, and there at the entrance to the temple, between the portico and the altar, were about 25 men, okay, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord and their faces toward the east. They were bowing down to the sun in the east. Okay, how I'm seeing this is that humanity has turned their back toward the temple of the Lord, because you turn your back toward the temple of the body. Your body is the temple. You don't see this. Okay, he said to me, have you seen this? Especially if you are extensions of God, then your body is absolutely the temple. How are you going to do God's will if you don't understand that? You're not going to be able to, because you're going to be too scared. You're going to be too worried about all this shit burning down instead of doing your mission. Have you seen this, Son of Man? Is it a trivial matter for the people of Judea to do these detestable things they're doing here? All right, and they think that detestable things is mourning the God Tamas, but really, I believe the detestable thing is the fact that they're not doing anything. They're not living up to their potential. You're not being the co-creator you were sent here to be, because you're too busy mourning someone else, something else. So you can't grow, you can't evolve, you cannot spiritually rise doing these things. And most of them stuck in this 3D reality, this matrix, whatever you want to call it. This is their downfall. All right, must they also fill the land with violence? All right. Okay, therefore I deal with them in anger. I will not look on them with pity or spare them. Although they shout in my ears, I will not listen to them. And then we'll go to chapter 9. All right, now this starts talking about the cherubims. You guys can read all this because this is a lot. Because I went all the way to chapter 12. And there's a few things I'm going to point out. But you can definitely read this yourselves. This is definitely a good book to read this as far as what I'm speaking about. Okay, as I listened, he said to the others, follow them through the city. Okay, hold on. 9:4. So God's giving this commandment to go throughout the city of Jerusalem, put a mark on the foreheads of those who grieve, and laminate over all the detestable things that are done in it. All right? Which is, in a sense, the same mark of the beast, right? Put a mark on their foreheads. As I listened, he said to the others, follow him through the city and kill without showing pity or compassion. Slaughter the old men, the young men, and the women, the mothers, and the children, but do not torture anyone who has the mark. Begin at my sanctuary. So they begin with the old man who were in front of the temple. And that's who it's going to start with, all those people that are in front of the temple. Then he said to them, defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. All right. I'm going to 10 now. We could get into this deeper, but this is when it's telling you the Chibarum had human hands, and they had 4 faces. Like each side of their head was a face. So like the angel aspect, the divine feminine, the divine masculine aspect. Well, one was the angel, one was the human being, one was the face of the lion, and the other the face of the angel or eagle. Which is the face of the lion and the face of the eagle, which is also connected to Isis or Sybil or Venus. Okay, so the face of the lion and the face of the eagle. These are representations of the mother. But people don't understand that shit, so I'm telling you it right now. There were the living creatures. These were the living creatures I had seen by the Gaberial River. Okay, so get deep into that. They rose with them because the spirit of the living creatures. So when the cherubim stood still, they also stood still. And when the cherubim rose, they rose with them because the spirit of the living creatures was in them. And the same as the 144,000 true tribes. You are this. This is what you are. This is why you're sent. You're sent here for right now to, in a sense, destroy all this false ass ideology given to these people. These were the living creatures I had seen beneath the God of Israel, and I realized that they were cherubim. Oh my God. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings, and under their wings was what looked like human hands. Their faces had the same appearance as those I had seen by the river. Each one went straight ahead. Okay, and so that's also connected to the cross compass, the representation of the cross. Why you're given those 4 directions, the 4 faces. That's who Jesus died for. Just saying. And those who follow them in the end days when they speak their truth. Then the Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the gate of the house. There at the entrance there was 25 men.
Okay. And the Lord said, Son of man, these are the men who are plotting evil and giving wicked advice into the city. Prophecy against them. And that's what we're doing today. Then the Spirit of the Lord came on me and told me, this is what the Lord said. You are saying, you leaders in Israel, but I know what is going through your mind. You have killed many people in the city and filled the streets with the dead. Streets with the dead. And they will be paying for all the shit that they have done. All right, so now then we're going into chapter 11:14, which is the promise of Israel's return, the promise of the true children. Okay, and all of this from the burning of this church that Gabriel just wants to pour on me today and yesterday. The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, the people of Jerusalem have said of your fellow exiles and all the other Israelites, they are far away from the Lord. This land was given to us as our possession, and it truly was. This land is the possession of the Most High's children. Talking about everybody's going to heaven. No, you're going to be living on kingdom on earth. Not this one, but a new one. Therefore say, all right. You guys can read all this. Okay, so they will return to it. They're going to return to the Most High and to the understanding of the Mother and to the understanding of the truth, right? And remove all its vile images and detestable idols. Okay, so we're going to stop externalizing the Most High, externalizing the truth of the kingdom, externalizing the